Yes. Old one will be teaching. Hello. Old one will be teaching, but she's being mediated through Jupi, my inner child. Welcome, DMs, to a sesh. Oof, now it's sparking on all fours cylinders because she just had a fantastic merry meet with another crone, delved deep into quite a lot of things. And so now she's activated, and only one thing to do when she's activated, and that's teach. And so I just got pinged. A slight trigger on the Facebook. Quick response, because that's what she does. The general response. Yeah, quick listen. Little words. And then my DM pinged me that we also have inner child. We also have an inner child. So the conversation on the Facebook is about shutting down, and immediately there was a response to it about it being a trauma response, which is very true. Yeah, can be. Yeah. But what came out of me, activated as I am, was that there's also a big difference between shutting down and blocking. And it definitely pertains to the masculine collective. This really lesson, let's call it conversation. I've not hashtag it lesson, but whatever. Let's call it a conversation, because I see you, DMs, right? You have also been doing a lot of work. A lot. However, yes, so sorry. However, and I know a lot of you will recognize this in your fellow men. Yeah? There's still a lot of shutting down happening when the feminine wants to have a serious emotional conversation that can be heated, and then the shutting down happens. There's also been a lot of blocking happening. I've been doing a shit ton of blocking. So the word on blocking. I've had to do a lot of blocking in the last year. And it's a shielding technique, as I just mentioned. Yeah. And it's a shielding technique to protect the other person in the exchange, so that my anger that you've just triggered doesn't hit you full in the face and does serious damage. Okay? And that blocking happens from the old one inside of women. The masculine collective need to start knowing that the old one lives inside of the feminine collective and has awakened in quite a lot of women my age and older. And the very first thing that has to happen once the old one inside of a woman awakens is she has to unpack her anger. And as a woman on this planet, expressing anger has been a societal no for the longest time. So when this old one activates inside of a woman, the anger that she now has to face inside of herself isn't just from this lifetime. It is a collective build-up of anger from many, 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 many lifetimes, depending on the age of the soul. But if a crone is activated inside of a woman, it's an old soul. I know this doesn't happen with everyone. Right now, in our collective, you can expect it. Like if you're part of the flame journey, if you're part of the sovereign journey, if you're a spiritual seeker, if you're really in it, you have to. If you find this, you will have come across this. What I'm speaking about, okay? And now there was my DM pinged me this like my inner child is sensitive also. Yes. And no. You are shielding your inner child. And you need to stop doing that because that inner child of yours is going to flare. It's like putting a child into permanent timeout. And eventually it triggers something in that child that makes it naughty as fuck. And a problem child. And I've been dealing with the problem in a child of the Divine Masculine Collective in my sphere for 496 days since the lockdown began. It is the naughty as fuck inner child, masculine inner child, yeah, that has been doing things it is no longer permitted to do. It's been crossing magical lines that is no longer acceptable on the planet. And yes, I'm speaking about the inception style dreaming, the dream walking and the shamanism that is very active on the planet. Once upon a time on this planet, to become a shaman was a journey that started when that man was still a boy. He would be mentored and led through several initiations by a master shaman, trained all the rules, and there are many if you're going to do shamanistic work. You are now in a space where you are capable of doing serious harm without being fully cognizant of it. And that no longer matters. The karma that comes for you is real and immediate. Now, the Divine Feminine Collective have been doing a lot of inner child work, shadow work. The shadow work's more pertaining to the old one inside of us, the chrome, yeah. The dangerous one. The inner child is where the magic lies. Inner child is where the magic lies. And protecting that inner child is the old one inside of us. It's his main responsibility. Protect the inner child from harm. So those two energies are linked. And when a masculine tries to trigger the magic in a feminine, what he's now going to start, because that's what this Lion's Gate is about, is a full stop to the horseshit that's been going on the planet for the last 496 days. Yeah? Because a lot of that's been happening in dream space. The activation of the inner child by the shaman, yeah? To steal the magic. And this Lion's Gate is the full stop to that. it will no longer be permitted. The divine masculine, look up, is closing that gate. And so if you will not be, I do not believe after this lion's gate closes, you will be able to do it anymore. And then the karma is going to come and find you. It is the divine masculine is bringing karma home to the masculine collective that have been misbehaving on this planet. And it's a process that started many years ago with the Me Too movement in our 3D space. Yeah. And so after the Lion's Gate is closed, we're going to see a quickening of consequences in the 3D world. It'll be visible. It already is. Cuomo, whatever his name is just the next in a long line. But that cannot exist on the planet anymore. Not where we're going. So, now, let's talk about the divine masculine inner child, because that's the other thing that's going to happen with this Lion's Gate. That little bit that I just did, Red Jade just did on Insta, yeah? That was her feeling, Rekhape feeling the divine masculine's inner child starting to peek out, right? And so that means that your old one, divine masculine, the old one inside of you is going to awaken. That's how it works. You awaken the inner child, and as a result, the old one inside of you, I'm here because now my inner child is here, and that's going to require safeguarding. Okay? And so, yes, that's why. Okay, that's why I was so, I need everyone to please be cognizant of the fact that shutting down is no longer a technique that you can utilize once the inner child starts to bloom inside of you. Yeah, because it's a punishment. The inner child feels punished when you shut down. Okay? The old one in you will block in any situation that presents danger to the inner child. Trust it, it's an instinct. The old one is your instinct, right? As your instinct gets fired up, you're going to do things and not fully understand why. And you need to allow that. You will understand with time. Mostly when the instinct kicks in and you do something to protect the burgeoning, the blooming inner child inside of you. And it is a process of cleansing. It's a process of cleansing trauma, and not just from this lifetime, from all the lifetimes. Huh? Any trauma that the child, you as a child, experienced in this lifetime and others, but mostly in this lifetime. We work through our current lifetimes, memories in the mind, and those who do dream work and meditation work will be able to delve deeper into past lifetime experiences. It's not important to focus on the past lifetime experiences. It's just important to accept the experience that's coming towards you and to find the wound, the unseen wound that was perpetrated against your child self. And child self, first 8 years. Okay? First 8 years of your life. And so it's a very interesting experience because many of us don't have a lot of memories from the first 8 years of our life. I don't carry very many in my mind space. Quite a lot of you are fathers. And so this experience of safeguarding the inner child, recognizing the old wounds so you can heal them and let them go, is very important to you who are fathers in this lifetime already. And it doesn't matter if your child is older than 8, because you can do healing of wounds that happened in the first 8 years in the following 8 years with much greater ease than allowing that wound to fester, and then it only makes its appearance much later in life, usually at 45. Yeah. And then it's an entirely different experience. So as fathers, it's very important to do this work inside yourselves so that you can then be the healer for your children and heal them whilst they're children of any unseen harm that may have occurred right in front of your eyes without you even being aware of it. And so part of the healing is forgiving yourself first, that you didn't see it. Because it's probably an old wound inside of you that you've not looked at until now. So it's an entire generational healing that's possible now for fathers and children by a masculine collective doing the inner child work. And to be very aware, am I shutting down or am I blocking? Because if you're only shutting down, if you're shutting down, you do need to look at, is there a trauma from my childhood that I've not looked at that's making me do this? Because it's not healthy for a family unit shutting down. And all women on the planet have had this experience with men, of men just shutting down. Women bring a conversation to the table, wanting to communicate about an issue that she's having in the connection or in the family connection, and then being met by men shutting down. And it is a family wound. That action is a family wound. Because then no healing happens anywhere. And it becomes a wound that festers and then cannot be healed. It is like gangrene, and then you have to cut the foot off to survive. I'm going to leave it there. I've said quite a lot. You have men's groups, and I know a lot of work gets done in those men's groups, but it is time to step out of those protective circles because it has become a way of shutting down. You need to start having these difficult conversations with the feminines in your life. Because the divine feminine is a great healer. It is her purpose. She can heal things the divine masculine cannot. It is about lanes and knowing which lane you're in and being okay with asking for help from the divine feminine. Or we're never going to get out of this he said, she said, toxic masculinity, blame game that's been prevalent on the planet for several years now. And the divine feminine knows that there is divinity in men. The masculine is divine, and we do not want to be separated from you when we do this work. We've now reached a point in the journey where we have to come together to really be able to do the melding healing that's required between the masculine and feminine energies on the planet. And we've had to do the separate work because the divine feminine had a lot of anger that she had to deal with by herself. And she dealt with it by herself to protect you. Please know that. Please see that, acknowledge it, and honor it. That she blocked you in order to save you from more wounding. My anger, I have to deal with my anger. It is not for you to heal my anger, she said. Please understand that. We are not blaming you. The divine feminine does not blame the divine masculine for her anger. It's part of the process, right? Yeah, when you start, there's a lot of like, and why did he do that? But as you work through it as a divine feminine, you come to that realization that it isn't the divine masculine's fault. It's not his responsibility. It's mine. I have to unpack my anger until I have full control over it. But now, please, if you were to meet a divine feminine who has done this work, please understand that then what comes from that is a warrior woman who is unafraid of anything because she has walked through the fires of hell. Then you need to respect that woman. Because any behavior that is not of a divine masculine nature will meet the sword of truth. That's what the sword is. That's what it represents. It represents truth. And truth is the sharpest blade in all of existence. And when a divine feminine who has done the work points that blade at you, because now you've stepped over the line, you are going to feel it. Okay, that's just a little disclaimer at the end. We're 4 days to the peak of the Lion's Gate. I know all of you divine masculines are doing work. I know it. Because I have encountered many, many divine men in the last year and a half, 496 days of lockdown. And in the dream space, we have done a lot of clearing together. Okay? That is my purpose. That is my divine world's purpose, was to do that work. There are others like me also, other divine feminines, who have done the work in the 5D with the masculines. We are a small collective on the planet. Yeah? It does not mean that she is your divine feminine. Okay? Please accept that. Yeah? We, in turn, have learned to accept the love that we so often feel from the divine masculines. Yeah? And it was an interesting learning curve, to say the least. All right? This Lion's Gate represents a quickening on the planet. We can expect many things to happen from September to January. Right? September will be a moment of next year's energy presenting itself, and it is an energy of fire. But then that energy goes away, and the last 3 months is the energy 2021, of change, of, I like to use the image of a tornado or a hurricane. It is fast. There is no other energy that moves as fast as the energy of 5. Okay? And because we're in the last 3 months of the year, and we've now gone through the Lion's Gate, and we're looking to fire, there's going to be it's going to be bumper to bumper. Lots happening all over the place. And no, I don't prophesy or oracle anymore, but I did just pull the ring. And so maybe that is a sign, divine masculine, that it is time to pull the trigger. Many of you are hesitating, and it's time for you to stop hesitating. If you've found your divine feminine, and both of you are free and clear to connect in the 3D, do not hesitate. Do not hesitate, please. And yes, I am speaking to the twin flames, because 2022, 6 is flame number 3 plus 3. Right? Okay. Yay. Thank you for coming.